Thanks to the latest budget cuts, I'm down to using grade F meat.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was some sort of common solution to both our problems?
That would be great.
Jimbo, why don't you assist Lunch Lady Doris in the kitchen?
Bite me, Skinner.
Well, might we?
This sandwich tastes so young and impudent. Seymour, what's with the good grab?
Well, perhaps I ought to let you folks in on a secret. You remember me telling Jimbo Jones that I'd make something of him one day?
Are you saying you killed Jimbo, processed his carcass, and served him for lunch?
Bart, does it strike you as odd that Uter disappeared and suddenly they're serving us this mysterious food called Uterbraten?
Oh, relax, kids. I've got a gut feeling Uter's around here somewhere.
Since so many students have been put on permanent detention, we've merged everyone into a single class.
When I found out that McDonald's have a contract with over 10,000 hospitals across the world,
why not?
I'm trying to figure out, how does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
How does that make sense, bro?
When did you ever go into a hospital to recover from anything and feel like you were better in any way in this sterile environment with these laminate floors, with these walls that look like you're actually about to be processed for a custodial sentence? Where did you ever feel?
That's why I call a hospital a house of hospitality.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, the house of hospitality. I'll make you comfortable until you die. Don't worry. I'll make you comfortable. Electric this,
Nothing
electric
to
that.
worry about when you're dying, right?
You know what I'm saying?
People who eat hot dogs eat them because they taste so good. But what's in them is not so good. You know, we've learned to accept it, but I don't know if you'll feel so accepting after this. The company Clear Foods recently analyzed 345 hot dog and sausage products from 75 brands and retailers and found, are you hot dog lovers ready for this? Human DNA in 2% of the samples and in 2/3 of the vegetarian samples. Human DNA.
Whoa, Mama, the electric chair. Smell that, Ralph? That's the smell of justice. Smells like hot dogs.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them.
Promise, Tiger, I promise. I'll tell the exchange.
You tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them. Silent breed is people!
Relax, honey. You were just having a crazy nightmare. You're back with your family now where there's nothing to be afraid of. Except that fog that turns people inside out. Huh?
Uh-oh, it's seeping in. Stupid cheap weather stripping.
Human meat.
A new line of affordable protein is hitting our shelves. This is engineered human meat.
That's right, a protein made from human cells that promises to be cheaper and tastier than any of its competitors. I'm Greg Wallace, and I'm off to visit Good Harvest, where a whopping 6 tons of human meat is engineered every day.
That is stunning.
With the promise of cheap meat for all, it may well be the meaty miracle we need to ease the squeeze of the cost.
Welcome to another video. In this episode, we'll be talking about cannibalism. All right. And cannibalism is when human beings eat other human beings. All right. So all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. In this video, I think I will entitle it Cannibalism in the Coming Days, or discussing cannibalism in the days to come. Now, you know what? Before we do anything, let's look up the word cannibalism and see what it gives us here from Google. Define Salakia. So this is the word cannibalism. The practice of eating the flesh of one's own species. What is the literal meaning of cannibalism? The eating of human flesh. The eating of human flesh by another human being. Okay, and we don't need to do a whole extensive long search into it. Now I came across this video which is supposed to be, I don't know if it was an episode of The Simpsons or just a portion that was taken out of it. Obviously it was The Simpsons. Anyway, they kind of make fun of the fact that some of the food, they put it in a cartoon here showing, like a conspiracy of the teachers eating students. Which at the end of the day, but they also put in this clip, there was also a real news report. Let's see here, where people were saying that human flesh has been, the DNA of human flesh has been, has reportedly been found in hot dogs, right? Then you heard a couple of people in the background, like these British jakes, talking about, why does McDonald's have contracts with over 1,000? I don't know if it said 1,000 or 10,000 hospitals, which is crazy, but you just never know. Now, we've also heard there have been human DNA found in other meats as well. And if you go back to you brothers and sisters that are in the know, there was an interview with this rabbi. Supposedly, they did a fact-finding thing saying that it wasn't real. But I believe that it was real. And this rabbi said that when children go missing, they basically, they give the carcasses to the major fast food restaurants, number one being McDonald's, right? And that they put the bodies into the sausage biscuits and the hamburgers and this and that. And people think it's a conspiracy, but they also showed you in the movie Soylent Green. It was supposed to be a dystopian type of movie that in the times to come, really that movie happened back in the 70s, but it was based to be around the year 2022. And it was said that the food that had been feeding people actually was people. Like the movie's called Soylent Green. And recently also I did another video too that was talking about that, about people being fed human flesh. So, in the scriptures in the past, during the times of the curse, the time of the besieging of Jerusalem, it was said that, well, let's go to the curses. Let's read it real quick. Because it's happened in the past, and in the times to come, this fallout that's going to happen, this economy crashing, cashless society, a dystopian type of, near future is on the way where people very well could resort to cannibalism, and we believe that they will. So this is Deuteronomy 28 and 52. It says, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy power hath given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. So that a man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Okay, so we know that these things happened during, the besieging of Jerusalem, and it could have very well happened too in other captivities, in other times where the Israelites were under heavy persecution. And we know that history repeats itself, and in the times to come, it's going to get bad again like that. All right, as a matter of fact, it's said here in the scriptures in 2nd Ezra 15, during Jacob's trouble, during the time of testing, humanity is going to turn. Okay, it's going to change. All this happy-go-lucky shit is going to change up, and it's going to be an animal-like nature among humans, and there's no telling what people may do. All right, I think in the book of 2 Timothy, it says that, let's go there. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1 says, know this also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. Now, as we read in the curses, you have had examples of cannibalism in the past, and as we know, history always repeats itself. So we know that that time is going to come again. There's going to come a serious shortage of food. There's not going to be, like Babylon the Great, how you just go anywhere now and eat anything you want. Well, that time is going to come to an end, and people are more than likely going to resort to cannibalism. We believe that they will. We've been teaching for a long time that people will turn into cannibals, and you already used to it. You used to eating, a certain taste that you already acquired, because you could have very well been eating human flesh all this time. And the scriptures tell us that our food will be defiled anyway. And you know what? Before we go on, let's read that. This is Ezekiel. Let me bring it back up. Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 13. It says, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. And that was said that when we went into captivity among these other nations, that our food would be defiled. Now we know it's been defiled with genetically modified organisms, right? Pesticides, all kinds of chemicals, but also what else? We know that certain candy bars, certain soft drinks have rat pee, cat pee, animal droppings inside of the vats that make the chocolate and all this different stuff. And as we showed you the article or the news report from some time ago, that certain hot dogs and certain other meats have tested positive for human DNA. So how could that be unless there was human DNA inside of the meat, right? The NLT says, then the Lord said, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands to which I will banish them. See? So we're still in exile, and we've still been banished by the Lord, and we're eating all kind of defiled bread, chemicals, even the very bread that you eat. If you eat white bread, it's mostly sugar. It could be bleach. It could be this or that. Who knows? So we rely on the Heavenly Father to keep us alive. This is why you should always pray over your food. Now, this is 2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. You see, dangerous times are going to come in the last days. If we go to the NLT, let's read it. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. For people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at the Most High, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than the Most High. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. You see, so the times are going to come. It's going to become very perilous. Not like now. It's dangerous already, but it's going to get a whole lot worse. And as we showed you the prophecy of the curse, right, of that people will, the curse that people have turned into cannibals in the past, but it's going to come again. There's prophesied no mercy from neighbors to one another, and that can be including and up to and above cannibalism. 2 Ezra 15 verse 14 says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Why? For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So there's going to be all kind of, violence and chaos taking place. It says, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another. And when you invade one another, what do you have? Home invasions, right? As you see, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Now, seditions is uprisings against the government, as we know to be true. Seditions is uprisings against the government. So you're going to have where people do no longer pay attention to their government officials. Every person is going to do, as it says, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Whatever person can do, if they got a bunch of weapons and they can overpower individuals, they're going to do it. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So there's going to come a time, martial law we're looking forward to, right? You see that on the horizon. FEMA camps, all out anarchy in the streets. It says a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Why? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So severe shortage of food, maybe even famine. I got to read that again. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So while you see, we play you these different clips and stuff that we see, we joke about it, we laugh, but cannibalism will become a very real thing. It could. I'll say it. We believe it will. And there's instances in the scriptures where it is mentioned, even in the future to come. But first, before we read that, let's go to the Good News Translation and read what we just read. All right, this is 2 Corinthians 15. And what was that we just read? Was it 14? Yeah, it says the world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. There will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. That's your sedition. There will no longer be free access to the cities, because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. Listen, driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. I gotta read it again. Driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. And when you plunder, that's a form of stealing. That is stealing. Okay. So while they made a joke about it in this Simpsons cartoon, the teachers eating the students, and it's really foreshadowing of times to come. People will turn to cannibalism, and they already, just like in that clip, also they had this so-called alternative that they're making meat from human cells, right? If we go right here, what's in your hot dog? 2% of samples, 2/3 of vegetarian samples contain human DNA. Good Lord. Then they showed you the clip of Soylent Green, which when I did the video the other week, I told brothers and sisters, look this movie up and watch it. All right, because they show the year 2022. It was made back in 1973, 78, somewhere around there. And they show a time to come, which was around roughly the year 2022, where society had fallen. Okay, it became kind of like a dystopian type of society. You see, and individuals had to eat these wafers, and the wafers was actually people. That's what he was talking about. Soylent Green is people. Also, you had this right here where they was making human meat, right? Now it said human meat mockumentary. They mocking, right? But look, as the old saying goes, a lot of truth is said in jest. Jest meaning joke. They already been trying to make steaks out of poop. Making these vegan burgers and all this different stuff, this plant-based meat. Man, what do you think they're really doing, man? All right, don't be a fool. Anyway, there is a prophecy, and let's read it if we can get to it here. There is a prophecy of the coming times where people are going to resort to cannibalism. Let's read it now. This is 2 Corinthians 15 and 49. It says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of the power shall be dried up as flour, when the heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastened with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Would I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith the Lord, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen, exalting the stroke of thine hands, and saying over their dead when thou wast drunken, set forth the beauty of thy countenance. The reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense. Now it started out addressing this as Asia, the hope of Babylon, which really is code words for America, Babylon the Great. It says, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall the Most High do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy cities shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. Listen, they that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. What does that mean? What does that mean? If you drink your own flesh and eat your own flesh and drink your own blood, that's when you turn to cannibalism, because what are you doing? You're eating family members. You're eating your children. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. So you people just got those doomsday bunkers, you got the mountain retreats you can run to. Eventually you're going to run out of food, and you're going to resort to cannibalism. And we don't care who believes it or who doesn't believe it. The Lord said these things are going to come. This is Acts chapter 13 verse 41. Start at 40. It says, beware therefore lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish, for I work a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. And it's really just talking about what the Lord is going to do, with his preaching of the gospel and all the miraculous things that the Lord is going to do. People are still being unbelievers, but that's okay. Plagues and tribulation has a way of changing your perspective. Hold on, y'all. Okay, plagues and tribulation have a way of changing your perspective, and we don't care who don't believe what we talk about. We do preach some sensational things that happen, right? Some mind-blowing things to come. You don't have to believe it. We believe wholeheartedly that the Lord's going to do what he said he's going to do, and cannibalism is one of the things in the days to come. So we'll see who's right or wrong. Is the Lord right, or are you right with your unbelieving self? Anyway, we know these people are ravenous already. We've heard the stories. You heard about the adrenochrome. You heard about different rituals that they perform. And look, man, it's about to get off the hook. Let's just say that. It's going to be some perilous times on the way. Stay prayed up. Seek the Lord power, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, with all your heart. And Lord willing, you make it out of here alive. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shalom.